This is the Tech Phantom, and I am your guide in this tale of the Chronicles of Conan in Lordran. Conan had come to the land of Lordran looking for Tulsa Doom. He was slowly starting to piece together that Lordran was actually the birthplace of Tulsa Doom. In this land, in this world, he was known as Lord Win, and he was in league with giant serpents. When he tried to enslave the world of Hyboria, Conan's lands, he disguised himself as Tulsa Doom, and he initiated the cult of the god Set, the giant snakes. What Conan has found so far is that the giant snake, the giant snakes of Lordran, were actually looking to get rid of Lord Win, because Win had become very powerful and held sway over the land. So the serpents were not gods. Win was a quasi-god, and he had come back to the land of Lordran to hide from Conan, because Conan had defeated him in Hyboria. Thanks to his wizard friend Akiro, Conan was able to find Lordran and travel there. Akiro had also told him about a magical place that was very similar to the mounds, the magical mounds near the Mountain of Power, where Akiro guarded the spirits of the tombs. He told Conan that he should next travel to the catacombs and seek out the Pinwheel Pyromancer to continue on his travels to look for Tulsa Doom or Lord Win. Conan has now made it past the catacombs and has found the Pyromancer Pinwheel. Pinwheel's story is a tragic one. Like Conan, Pinwheel's family has been killed by Lord Win. Pinwheel was a very, very powerful sorcerer and pyromancer. And when his family was killed, he became crazy and he tried to resuscitate them. And he tried all kinds of different experiments. He now wore a disguise of his father, his mother, and his child. And he performed unusual necromancer type experiments on all of the skeletons and all of the dead bodies that were in the catacombs, that were in these tombs. He had gone completely insane, and he had hollowed. And now he had lost the objective of his experiments. He no longer even remembered his family. He now just performed necromantic experiments on the skeletons and revived them to death. He also had a league of pyromancers, of necromancers, that served him, because they were in awe of his tremendous power in bringing the skeletons back to life. He had shared a little bit of this power with the necromancers, and the necromancers were able to revive the skeletons over and over again every time that anybody lit a bonfire. Well, Conan knew it was time to put an end to the necromancers into Pinwheel. Akiro had also told them about a very strong and powerful blacksmith that was undead, that also was located in the catacombs. But Akiro had warned him about this blacksmith. According to Akiro, the blacksmith had stolen the horns of Dagoth. Dagoth was a dragon god who had been defeated by Conan with the Kiro's help. The blacksmith had fashioned a very powerful helmet using the horns of Dagoth. Akiro told Conan that the horns were rightly his possession, their possession, and he should get them back. After putting the pinwheel pyromancer to death mercifully, Conan decided that it was time to search the catacombs low and high and look for the blacksmith and reclaim the helmet with the horns of Dagoth. By all accounts, this was a proper barbarian helmet with horns, and one that he felt was worthy of his statue as a warrior, and one that was also rightfully his because he was the one that had slain Dagoth, although Akiro, the wizard, had helped. Conan continued to travel and make his way to the catacombs. During his initial fight with Pinwheel, he had been able to use his great agility and to jump down many shortcuts, and he had easily and quickly find Pinwheel, and he had killed him. The Pinwheel had dropped the mask of a child. Conan was disgusted. "You are a nasty magician. I will never wear the mask of the child." He had put the mask for safekeeping after he had looted it from Pinwheel's body. But now he was in furor at the experiments and at the disgusting deeds that the pyromancer and the necromancers were performing, desecrating tombs and desecrating dead bodies. After all, his own family had been in tombs just like these. And he was aghast, and he was very upset when he thought about tomb robbers or necromancers running experiments on the bodies of his family. Conan continued forward, fighting off many skeletons and necromancers. The necromancers had a magical lantern that spewed fire, but they were no match to Conan's agility and claymore. He felt himself getting closer to the blacksmith. The skeletons were not very powerful, but they did attack in packs, and they did have a relatively powerful weapon. It was a curved sword scimitar, not one that Conan was very fond of. He preferred great swords, but nonetheless, the skeletons were quite skilled at using the scimitars, and they could do a fair amount of power. Eventually, Conan finally found the hiding spot of the blacksmith. He was led there by the sounds of hammering. This blacksmith had a very, very peculiar appearance. He used a pickaxe, which was not a normal item for a blacksmith to use. And he was quite rude to Conan. Apparently this blacksmith had been completely consumed by the riddle of steel, and now searched for the ultimate power that could only come, he thought, from fashioning the best and the strongest type of steel. Conan tried to purchase the helmet from the blacksmith, but Vamos would have none of it. He was dismissive of Conan. Conan had no other recourse, and when Vamos dismissed him, Conan had to challenge him for a duel. The winner will get the helmet as a reward. Vamos had a couple of tricks up his sleeve. He used the pickaxe with a fire incantation on it, And if you weren't looking for it, he could do a spinning attack that could cause a massive amounts of damage. But he was no challenge for Conan. And Conan claimed not only the royal helm that had been made with the horns of Dagoth, but he also claimed the fiery hammer that Vamas used to construct his weapons. Well, that objective had been completed. Conan returned back to the bonfire. Akira had also told him of other magical items that were located in the catacombs. Somewhere deep in the bowels of this area, there was also a magical ring. Akira had asked Conan to please get the ring for him. As a wizard, Akira had affinity for magical items. And he asked Conan to retrieve the special ring for him. Unfortunately, it was hidden deep in the catacombs. It was protected by skeletons, necromancers, and even giant skeletons. And Akira was not powerful enough to venture, or brave enough to venture into the catacombs and claim his prize. He asked Conan, his friend, to do him the favor. Akira had saved Conan's lives many times. He had helped him fight spirits and other magical beasts that Conan did not understand. So he felt obligated, and he felt like he owed his friend Akira a favor. So he would go through the catacombs, risking his life, looking for this special magical ring. He began to proceed further down and down and down into the catacombs. This place was very puzzling, and there were many traps. There were a lot of bridges that had to be activated with levers to allow you to proceed forward. Conan's brute and primitive sense of direction, or barbarian direction, did him very good again, and he felt like his sixth sense told him that he was getting close to the magical ring. He saw a tomb with a glowing price on it, but before that, he knew there was a necromancer around here controlling all of the skeletons, and he wanted to kill the necromancer and rid the world in this area of necromancers. He found the necromancer, but there was an unusually high number of skeletons here, probably because the ring was very valuable and very powerful. He continued chopping down skeletons left and right. Thankfully, the necromancer was down, so the skeletons would not get up again, even if Conan didn't have a divine weapon. He went looking for the special tomb, which was now guarded by a giant skeleton. This was a very, very dangerous enemy. Not only was he more powerful than normal skeletons, and he would take a lot more damage to bring down, but he also wielded an incredibly long and large curved sword called the Murakumo. Again, not a sword that Conan was very fond of. He liked straight swords as opposed to curved swords. But nonetheless, in the hands of a giant skeleton, a giant curved sword was quite dangerous. Finally, he reclaimed the ring for Akira. It turned out to be the Dark Moon Sands ring. He immediately understood why Akira wanted this magical item, because when you equipped it, when you put it on your finger, it actually allowed you to memorize additional spells and cast additional spells. Well, his job was done in the catacombs. He had killed giant skeletons. He had killed the pinwheel boss. He had looted the area, collected many souls, the ring, and most importantly, he had found his true prize, the royal helm. The golden helmet made from Daggot's horns. He was the new keeper of the horn, and it will never come off his head. He felt like it belonged to him, and he felt more powerful and more confident wearing it. It was time to leave the catacombs and go back to Firelink Shrine. The catacombs were located deep in a cave over a cliff that was in itself a cemetery. There were additional skeletons here. These were not controlled by a necromancer, and their whole purpose was to guard the tombs, similarly to what Akiro had done at the Magical Mounts. The skeletons were quite perseverant and persistent. And even though Conan didn't want to fight him, one skeleton followed him all the way to Firelink Shrine, and Conan had to dispatch of him. It was now time to enjoy the spoils and the rewards of he had gathered from the catacombs. Conan continued to work on his endurance, his strength, and his vitality. Those were the most important things for a barbarian. You needed strength in order to do more damage with your weapon, and you needed endurance in order to be able to swing your weapon faster and more often.
I am pleased to see you well. Is it something urgent?
He also felt like he needed to talk to one of the giant serpents. These serpents were very peculiar in their eating habits. The serpent was able to break down green shards for Conan. The green shards were turned into smaller shards, which Conan could use to mend and improve his armor, both his loincloth and his magnificent royal helm. The serpents were also fond of certain soul items, and they would pay a lot of money for it. They also like copper. Apparently they like metal and hard things. But the one thing that the serpents liked the most were dung pies. Conan laughed, and as he left the serpent, he said, "Farewell, you shades eater." He continued forward, and he spoke briefly with Petrus. Petrus claimed that he had become separated from Milady. Apparently she was down in the catacombs, but she had gone further into the catacombs than Conan himself had done at the beginning, during his first trip. Conan felt like he had to go back to the catacombs at one point and find this lady and help her. He felt sorry for her. He also went and checked up on Griggs of Vinheim. Typical of a mage, though, Vince would not talk much to Conan. Magicians were infamous for being very dismissive of other humans, of other professions. They would only teach other magicians and others of their clan. Apparently, Griggs thought that Conan was not intelligent enough and would not share any of his magic with him. It's okay, Conan thought. He did not need magic. He did not need miracles. He didn't understand them, And when he was smaller, he actually feared him. But now he knew that he didn't have to fear anything. He only had to fear Chrome, his ruthless god. Well, it was time to venture into Sense Fortress and to start a new adventure. Before doing that, Conan went and talked to the blacksmith, Andre, of Astora. This was a true blacksmith and a good, honest soul. He had not been captivated by the riddle of steel, and he was strong and wise, just like Conan's father. Conan purchased additional reinforcement materials and tools from Andre, and he proceeded to also improve his waistcloth and his helmet. He was so taken by his armor that he had forgotten to sharpen his claymore. Well, he would have to be much more careful next time. And he would have to go into Sense Fortress and look for the reinforcement material that he had mistakenly consumed on his armor that he could have used for his claymore. Well, such is life, thought Conan. Onward to Sense Fortress.